Good afternoon, all. I'm Tim Wilshire, your networking number cruncher who podcasts people's perspectives. I'm from Confidential Tax and Business Services. This is episode 7 of the New Valley Chamber of Commerce Meet the Member podcast series. This is where we find out about our members' intricate details from the most vibrant business chamber in all of Australia. Good afternoon and welcome to Michael Christie from Christie & Co Property Group.
Hi Tim, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a participant on the new podcast series, and let's get straight into it. Please tell the audience, I guess, your name and a bit about your business, a bit of an elevator pitch.
Yeah,
Yep.
What's that, sorry? With the last part you cut out.
And how you solve problems for your clients.
How I solve problems for my clients. Okay, so I'm Michael Christie. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Christie & Co Property Group in Brisbane, Gold Coast, and somewhat partially in Sydney. We are a real estate company, full service property company. We do everything from your normal residential listings, property management, but our main focus would be brand new projects. So townhouses, apartments, house and land, especially right now in this period, is something that we do. But of course, working for all the developers, we're kind of a non-biased company. I've really tried to stand by that statement of working as best as I can for both parties, between developers and customers. So how do I help people? Well, I get the best deals out of these developers, especially in times like this. You know, we're educated, we see everything in town. And what I do is try to transfer my knowledge to a buyer base and help them get what the best deal they can possibly get from a developer for a new property, whether it's interstate, local, or international buyers. So that, in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Excellent. How did you first get into that line of business, Michael, and how did the company all start?
Well, I was led into it by my business partner, Jeb, or Utsani is her real name. She's Thai. We met somewhere around 6.5 years ago. Funny enough, we actually wound up going on a date. That's kind of how it really started, if everybody wants the total truth. But it didn't work out, but we did work out to be great friends. And she always told me, you've got a great sales, voice, your marketing. That's what I studied in college. She said that's really what your main aim is. And we should hone in on that. I'm working at this real estate company. Why don't you come trial it out here? So I'd gone to a company. I was their marketing manager for a little bit of time. She was their sales manager. And we just, we did the best job we could. We were making a phenomenal amount of sales. And it was kind of just the two of us doing it, whereas the owners of the company were never really around. So we thought, why don't we do this ourselves? Like this is, and it was other lines of things such as forced to sell things that we didn't believe were good products for customers. We wanted to make sure that our name and reputations lasted in Brisbane if we're planning on staying here. Brisbane's a small town. You don't want to follow in the footsteps of a bad leader and spoil your name. So we thought, screw it. We're doing all this by ourselves anyway. Let's go out there and make a good name for ourselves, start a good company, and see what we can do to help people and make a go at it. And that's kind of how the whole thing fell together. And 5.5 years later, I think this is where we are now, in 3 cities and 25 employees total. So growing. So good start.
So when and why did you become a member of the Valley Chamber of Commerce? How did that start?
I'd always been a frequent networker. That's how I do my business. I grew up in a place, I'm from New Jersey, New York City area. It's a crowded area. You got to get out to know people. And if you don't get out, you won't know anybody. You won't really move forward. I got to find developers. I got to find people who are good at IT. There's always problems and solutions that I need answers for that I don't know how to do everything myself. So getting out and getting into, especially a Chamber of Commerce, is a place where I found, after exploring many different places in Brisbane for networking, that it just had the most active members. I mean, the speed in which, I would go and buy a ticket for another Valley or any kind of Chamber of Commerce or event, and the tickets would be around until the last minute, whereas I quickly learned if you don't hop into a VCC, ticket line very quickly, you'll find yourself on a phone call, waiting and hoping to get into some of the coolness that we have. And I just found that the locations are always cool and interesting. The people that come are always new, intelligent, smart professionals that I can gain valuable information or business from. So in the end, I explored a few, and as I think I spoke in your podcast, my friend Norm wound up dragging me over to one, and ever since then we joined and decided that this was the best platform for us to meet people, for my business.
Yeah, thank you. And with the VCC, the Valley Chamber of Commerce, so obviously you've joined. So what else does it actually mean to your business? I mean, what sort of opportunities have opened up for you?
Well, as of now, I mean, I kind of just really got to join just kind of before this whole thing kicked off. I was waiting for the new events in the new year, and then of course this has happened to us, which will be great coming out of the door because we've got so much happening for us with our company. Where some companies may have struggled, very unfortunate for a lot of the industries, but us coming out of COVID was actually a really successful period for the real estate industry with the government's home builder grant that they initiated. We were so focused on townhouses and apartments before that, and now with all these houses, the business has been great. So I'm looking forward into getting into back into VCC to see if there's some people I can meet. There's a few things in mind that come to mind, but I'll give you an example. Last year, the Victoria Golfs, it's good for me when the mayor is there. I'm there with the mayor, and I'm at the launch of what is, or to be the new Brisbane Parkland. See, this is something that I, as a someone who sells investments to people, I've got to be on top of my game, and having that ability to be close to the mayor at these events, have my face seen, these are good for us. These are good for people in these lines of industry who revolve around the public space and a city as a whole. So I find that the events always attract the right kind of people, important people, and I can get alongside them and have a word with them, as well as learn a bit more about what's about to happen in the city. And I always need to be 5 steps ahead on infrastructure. I always need to know why people are coming here, because that's what drives my interstate international investors. So I find that that's one benefit, kind of short of a stale period where I didn't really get to come to many events, but just as I was about to really become a full-on member, and I did, COVID hit, so I didn't really get much chance to experiment with too many people, but it's been great so far.
So can you tell me, I guess the challenges that you're facing in your business at the moment, and the lessons that you're sort of learning in your career journey, or the biggest lesson you've learned?
Well, I'd say that, if you just tie it back to like VCC, I think one of the biggest things that I look for is I'm always looking for creative IT and marketing solutions. It's one of the biggest problems in our industry, is following up lead generation and following up and staying up of that, looking for new solutions to best spend your marketing money. Marketing is the biggest expense for me outside of my other overheads like offices and stuff like that. But marketing is what brings me leads. It generates stuff, Facebook, and it's so intricate now with the cookie tracking and all this. It's a language I speak to an extent, but I need to find solutions. And I find these people, and that's one of the biggest challenges for us at the moment is, we've always been great marketers, but as, society moves forward, things are becoming so targeted and technical that you need somebody who speaks that language waking up every morning, and that's not me. So that's the biggest challenge, I'd say, for me, and something that I'm looking for in VCC. And I've actually, I think, met a few people who have come up with creative solutions for us that we've spoken to about. So I'd say that that's kind of, for us, is probably the biggest challenge, and as well as obviously meeting more and more developers is always a challenge, but that's what these places are for us, is networking. So, I'd say for me personally, I think if you want to speak to the rest of my team, they probably have something different to say because they're focused on sales, whereas I'm marketing. So,
what do you like the most about living in this beautiful city of Brisbane, which is a small town?
I'll try not to go like I did in your last podcast. I think I went on for a while, but it's a great culmination of everything. I've traveled the world. I went to school in New York. My mother's German. I've lived and traveled Europe, pretty much almost every continent I've been to, and I found that Brisbane was such a happy medium between, tropical, beautiful beaches, the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast in combination. It's not too crowded, and it's a brand new city. It's being designed and built for the future. Whereas, you look at Sydney's a great place to go, and I love going down there for a weekend. But in terms of infrastructure, they're having to play repair, where everything is, let's try to implement a new solution, which may or may not work, like their light rail, which happened to be a total failure. From what I've heard from local people living there, is that it actually wound up slowing everything down and people tend not to use it now. So I love Brisbane because it's kind of this open map where everything's a go right now. Like, just every week you look at sites like Brisbane Development, and the things that are just popping up here is what got me going. After I got into real estate, that just got me so excited to be here. We're only a stone's throw away from everywhere. I mean, you're a 16-hour flight to LA. So for me to go home and actually expand business, which is a big plan of ours in the next coming years, which we are expanding our business into American real estate, bringing investors from America to Australia, as well as Asia. We're so close. And Melbourne's a bit south. I like it. It's cold. But Brisbane's just, I'm wearing, it's the end of winter now, and I'm still in a t-shirt. So I like the way that I can live here. It's just, I think it's a beautiful place. It's clean, the wildlife, and it's just so diverse. So for me personally, I've traveled a lot. I love it here. I think it's an amazing potential to be something great, future city, I'd say.
And finally, what have you changed the most about your life over the last 4 to 5 months when COVID-19 has sort of been a factor in the world economy and the way we do things?
Well, like everyone, I work from home, which was really actually quite, it fell into my lap. When that my lease with our office was up for renewal and nobody was coming in, so I just said, we're not going to renew. And we saved a substantial amount of money, and we're moving into our new office, which is in Kelvin Grove, on Kelvin Grove Road, in 7 days. So that's kind of why I'm on vacation right now. I'm just trying to squeeze in a last moment of peace before all hell breaks loose. But it's been like that for the past, how long has it been? We've been with for 4 or 5 months now. I think it feels like forever. But what changed for us the most with Home Builder Grant was we were selling lots of townhouse apartments. We occasionally dabbled in and were able to do house and land, but our entire focus in marketing had to change to house and land. As it was so unclear as to what the government outlined rules were for the home builder, it wasn't sure that townhouse developments or apartments, because of the construction date clauses that are like in this overnight drafted grant. So we weren't sure that selling apartments and townhouses were really going to cut it. And when you break down the bit of how much the home builder was, it really boils down to somewhere around 28,000 applications throughout that stretched budget. Whether or not they're going to extend throughout time is something that we didn't want to take a chance with. So we designed our whole overnight marketing campaigns, everything house and land, reached out to every developer, got on a bus, took our team to every single land estate from Gold Coast to the north of Brisbane, got everything on realestate.com, formulated hundreds of new packages, and we've been selling house and land like fire ever since. So the home builder grant stimulated the real estate industry and, of course, the construction industry. And it was amazing for us. So I've had to change maybe the way I work, and maybe my sleeping routine is a little bit messed up now, because being at home, you tend to stay up a little bit longer and maybe work a little bit less. But the hours were all over the place, and being comfortable, actually, I felt helped with coping with work. I felt like I got more done,
No,
so
thank you.
Yeah, that's really what's changed.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's been great to get your insight on some important things that have, I guess, affected the way you're doing business, and it's been very good. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great weekend, Michael.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Tim.